Hey, Peter, you got a screwdriver I can borrow? Alright, hey guys, this is episode 10 of Happy Fun Music Time. It's a special quarantine music podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Alex Salas.
Yeah.
And I'm here with the Hamilton progressive metal band Prospects. I'm here with Matt, Anthony, and Robert. Yeah, so how are you guys doing? How are you handling this crazy world?
It's been pretty good, I guess, for what it is.
Yeah, fair enough. So you guys are working on a new EP. You were getting it kind of mixed and produced by Jamie King of BT Bam fame. So what was that experience like?
Well, I mean, it's pretty crazy to kind of get somebody like that to work on like our stuff, but we figured maybe try to come out a little strong out of the gates with go with somebody that knew the genre, knew like the soundscape that we were going for, like kind of the palette of sound, if you will, and kind of just let him use his magic and make us sound as good as possible.
So you guys had done one previous EP, right? And was that one, which was called "The Calling of a Red Bird," if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah.
And so was that entirely you, Rob? Was that all you doing all the instruments?
Yeah, I was a pretty boring individual in my early 20s, still am to this day. And yeah, it just gave me a lot of time to do everything myself and kind of get a feel for it before I wanted to meet people.
Right, and so you those songs, and then
and then I forgot about it. And then I met these guys, and we just decided, since that's what they heard about when I proposed it, just do a few of those, recover it, and move on from there.
So how did you meet? I guess two questions. How did you decide to enlist the help of other people, and then how did you meet these specific musicians?
It was mostly accidental. I worked with Matt Dalton, and I joked about it, and a month later I found out it was a thing. So.
Pretty much. I like the songs, and I was up for the challenge, so I kind of kept pushing them to let's actually do something with this.
Yeah. So that's Matt, and then are there 3 members? How many members are in Prospects right now?
4 in total right now. But myself, I found Prospects through Toronto Prog Facebook group.
Oh, okay.
And I just hit them up. I saw Rob's his proposal there, and I was just like, hey, this seems kind of right up my alley. And I was like, damn, I gotta hit these guys up.
Cool.
Nice.
And just so like listeners know, so Anthony, you are the drummer of the Prospects, right?
That is correct.
Yes, and then we have Matt on guitar here, and then backing vocals too, right, Matt? Do you do some singing?
A little bit live, yeah.
Live, okay. And then Rob, do you do all the vocals, Rob, or just the screams?
You can put my title as other, but yeah, all the vocals, keys, guitars, etc.
Cool. Vocals, keys. Okay, Krusty, what's your next question?
Okay. So I kind of wanted to jump into the new EP because I did a bit of digging around, just sort of like on what you guys have been up to, just like lurking your socials and everything. So your new EP, it's gonna be 4 songs, and then I'm pretty sure you guys are gonna have a remake of Orphic Trigger, right?
That's correct.
Is there any other like stuff from Red Bird that you're gonna put on the new EP, or is it 3 new songs?
3 out of 4 of them are one of the old ones, but I've had stuff written and kind of in the process of writing, so putting one on there that was recently written would have been kind of cool. So that's what we did.
Yeah, fair enough. What is the EP called?
Just Recalling. Works for me.
Oh, fair enough. Works for me too.
That's cool. In terms of the music, the new songs, Rob, did you write all 3 entirely yourself, or was it a group effort to write these new songs?
So far it's just been me. I'm learning how to work with others, and going forward, hopefully, we'll kind of get everyone in on that stuff. But up until now, it's mostly been me in my room and writing stuff.
And so, like, I mean, how long does it take you? Because these are pretty intricate and like detailed arrangements on these songs.
Comes in bursts.
It's not a first. Every single song you've done is.
Or no, it comes in bursts. Like
it comes in bursts. So.
Like like one song can take a month. Fastest I think I've done was like 2 weeks. But it's kind of what comes in between is kind of it varies.
Mm. And when you show the other guys the songs, I mean, this is a question for maybe Matt can go first to this one. Do you change parts? Or are you very faithful to what Rob has shown you? How does that work?
Well, I pretty well keep it as original as I can. Sometimes there's just some parts that just need to be tweaked a little bit just for playability's sake, but other than that, I try to stay as faithful to it as I can.
Cool.
It sounds good to me. Like unless there's something that's really, really needs to be changed, then I'll maybe suggest it, and we'll figure something out.
Mm-hmm. And what about for the drums, Anthony? Is it? Are you like? Does he ever present you with anything unplayable?
Yeah. So sometimes I'll come across things where it's like I only have 4 limbs, man.
Yeah.
And a cymbal, a snare, and a tom all at the same time. Like,
I mean, I do live in Oshawa, so Lake Ontario is not too far. I could go, swim there, maybe hope for a third arm. But,
grow another arm.
if I could grow another arm, then by all means I could play what he writes. But no, I do also try to stick pretty much to what he sends me. But he does allow me some creative freedom when it comes to just maybe throwing in my own flair, or maybe changing a couple fills, and he's pretty open. He's pretty open to that stuff. But I also want to try to stick to what he writes, because pretty awesome songwriter. So it's just I don't want to take away from the song. That makes any sense. Rather complement the song and not take away from the song.
Yeah, fair enough. Oh yeah, Rob. So with the new EP, like, what's your songwriting process like? Like, or is it, are you just jamming on a riff and then you'll sort of write the arrangement in a software, or like, do you write rhythms first? Like, how do you work?
Looking back on it, I feel as if I was blacked out or something and then woke up with it.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, whenever I get something stuck in my head, I mean, luckily I work in a place where I get to kind of just think of stuff, and then if I carry it home and work on a riff or something, it goes from there. Sometimes there's an idea behind it, sometimes it's just very vague themes and stuff, but
yeah. Is there any
what about
oh yeah, Alex, you go.
Oh, sorry, I was going to ask, what about musical inspirations, Rob? I mean, we can go down the line too on this one, but Rob first. I mean, what are some bands that you are into right now? Are there maybe non-musical influences going on?
I mean, obviously it's inspired by stuff, but I like listening to like a bunch of stuff. I mean, electronic, metal. What else? I'm sure there's other genres. Let me think. Recently, I guess Leprous. I've been listening to a lot of Leprous. They're cool. They do their own thing, and not being too metal, but being using space and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Matt, what about you? Any bands influencing you?
Well, pretty well. Like right now, it's mostly like Protest of Heroes, probably my biggest influence. Yeah. But
I
don't know. I've got a pretty wide. I never really have like I change all the time with what I'm interested in. So like maybe for a couple weeks I'll be hung up on Protest, but then I'll get back into BT Bam, and then go into like way into a different left field and be into like jazz for a couple weeks. So I've got a pretty diverse kind of interest, I guess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on the new Protest album?
We can just talk about that for the next time.
Fucking love it. Fucking love it. Yeah. Love it. Yeah.
I love it too. It was at first wasn't really sure what to think about it, but because it's just it's pretty different from everything else.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's definitely the more I've listened to it, it's grown on me, and it's definitely like a masterpiece in its own right.
Yeah, yeah. I think Rhodey's really like come into his own as well. Like since he's kind of his own lyricist now instead of what's his face, because it was Arif who was writing all his lyrics for the first couple albums, right?
Ooh, fascinating.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah,
pretty sure. Fucking yeah, I really like it. Really like the instrumentation and like the orchestral work they did on it, like more piano like interludes they have in between the songs. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess we didn't actually go fully down the line yet. Like, what kind of stuff are you listening to these days, Anthony?
Yeah, right now I'm pretty hard on the protest stuff just because it's fresh.
Yeah.
But like I'm always a huge protest fan. Probably one of my top three faves. They're like local heroes here, like in Oshawa. Used to go down to the old local dungeon and see them all the time. So
Oh, damn.
they were like local heroes to us when they kind of like broke and made it through. So it was really cool kind of seeing them do their thing and all the stuff with like sheet happens and stuff. It's really cool seeing what they did. So cool influence. Then I'm kind of like similar with the other guys, like metal being the main kind of thing that I listen to, but also anywhere from the metal to like symphonic music. I really like film scores, like Hans Zimmer.
Oh yeah.
Like just like throwing on like a movie score, like even like video game scores, stuff like that stuff. Snarky Puppy. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that band. They're more of like a funk fusion kind of like jazz band. Super awesome band.
Well, that's a cool
Kinda
band for drummers, like that. I don't know, that kind of music.
Oh yeah,
It's groovy.
like
Yeah.
you will never see me on a dance floor ever. Like I will make people dance all night, but you'll never see me on a dance floor. But when Snarky Puppy comes on, I'm dancing.
You're about that. That's fair.
I'm dancing in the chair for sure.
Nice.
I think it's a drummer thing. I can say too. Like my theory is that all my rhythm is contained in my limbs. like none of it reaches like my torso or my buttocks. So it's like I can move my limbs in time, but if I try and like do any kind of bodily movements, it's just a disaster.
Awkward, very awkward.
Oh my god, man. Speaking of film scores, by the way, total aside, but have any of you ever seen the movie The Sixth Day with Arnold from like 2000 or 2001, I think?
I
Sounds
think so. Sounds familiar.
familiar, yeah.
The one where he plays a clone, but I watched it the other night, and the soundtrack on that movie is incredibly underrated.
I'm gonna look that up real quick.
Yeah. Check out the song "Adam's Theme," and the guy who did the soundtrack was Trevor Rabin. But you were talking about soundtracks, and I've been like listening like to that soundtrack for the last week, and it's great. What are some?
Add it on my list.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. What are some soundtracks that you have been listening? Like, any of you guys, but I guess Anthony first. That you've been listening to lately.
Lately I've been listening to actually some. It's kind of cheesy, but some Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, hey, I've been watching those movies too.
I know it's super cheesy,
There's some
but
good music in those movies.
yeah, in university I had a chance to play like a couple of movements just for a few like ensemble classes, and it just really gave me a deep appreciation for it. So like yeah, I don't know, I like the themes and stuff a lot. It's really like adventure, like makes me feel like I want to kind of like go out and just adventure, you know, you like the beginning of the first movie where you see him come in on his broken boat, like he's just like, it's just like even though he's coming in from like an adventure, it's just like that, like, you know, like hand on the hip, Captain Morgan, like, you know, he's just like it's going on an adventure kind of thing.
Well,
similar like Lord of the Rings music, also kind of very thematic for that adventure theme.
Very like epic orchestral kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever considered a pirate metal song or pirate metal album? Maybe some Ailstorm, some Primordial coming out. How about that?
That's what I've wanted to hear from you guys. So like, I hope you do that.
Something we should consider, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, down the road, a cover album would be cool. I don't know what the other.
Oh my god! If you guys do
like
Keelhauled, I will love your band even more if you cover that song.
I'll show up to your show like in a pirate outfit.
Yeah. I want to hear Rob do a pirate impression.
Are you a swashbuckler, Rob?
I'll pass. I'll pass.
Is that a hard pass, Rob?
It's a hard pass. It's a hard pass.
Hard pass. Oh man! All right.
Wait, hard pass?
Yeah, that's it.
He's the man for it.
Oh god.
He's hiding it.
How did you guys get Jamie King on to mix your stuff? That's a question. Like, how did you get this famous guy to do your stuff? Did you email him? Like, how did that work?
With money.
Fair enough.
I don't know. I guess yeah. So I started like taking lessons with Blake from Between the
Oh.
Bear to Me through Skype, just like online here and there. And I don't know, lessons kind of went cool, and it wasn't like a super frequent. It would maybe be like once every like couple months or once a month or something for a while. And told him a little bit about the band, asked him about maybe some like arrangement questions, more like technical questions maybe too, with like recording, like how he would like prep himself for recording, and just like maybe how to maintain like a professional like etiquette in like that realm, right? So he just maybe shone some light on giving the idea of hitting Jamie up, and I guess the rest was history. I messaged Jamie, and he was willing to take us on, and I guess here we are, like 6 months later.
Yeah, fair enough. Did you learn anything like from Jamie or Blake, like specifically sort of about the recording process? Like, was there anything that they did that kind of stuck out to you?
I mean, Jamie's a wizard. Like, I was just kind of a middleman, so he just likes things pretty organized. So like, just for sending files back and forth. But I mean, I didn't really discuss anything like super technical in terms of like the mixing or mastering. But Blake just made sure that I was getting good takes on the way in, because as they always say, it's better to have like good takes and not have to fix it in post. Whether that's film or music, you don't want to have to fix it in post. So just to make sure that you're getting the proper takes, and just like do the best you can with the gear that you have, that you can afford. So
yeah, absolutely. And I've found like kind of like through my own recording process, like on kind of the stuff I've done, like a lot of the engineers, they want like an extended good take, so it's not like chopped up too much, right? So I'm sure Jamie he might have articulated that somehow, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, like everything had to be edited and properly ready to go and prepared before sending the tracks in, right? So there was a pretty tedious, I guess, pre-production before we sent everything in. But besides doing all that, like the recording process was kind of all on us. So we did everything mostly DIY. Me being somewhat long distance from the guys made it a little bit difficult, but like I would record in Oshawa while these guys would record out in Burlington, and then we basically collabed all the files together, and Jamie had some specifications, and then we just made sure we abided by his little document that he sent, and yeah, everything seemed to be fine. He actually did quote and said that we were one of the most organized bands he'd worked with, and he appreciated it. So
yeah,
That's cool.
engineers can definitely appreciate that, because there's a lot of unorganized bands out there.
Yeah, because most bands are just boozing it up and show up to the studio and don't know what they're doing. So, like, if you have an inkling of an idea, I'm sure they appreciate it. In terms of your recording process, so Rob, I know you recorded vocals with Mike, right? Mike and Davina. How did that go? Was that interesting?
It hurt. I know. I did it over 2 days, so it's my lesson was learned to spread that out over a bigger course of time, right? But yeah, I mean, that's like my next step is kind of like, I don't know, that's like the last thing I want to learn how to do, either by myself or with the guys. It's kind of, I don't know, I feel like once you get that down, like, you just entirely make your own production.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did he bring anything to the material, or was it more strictly an engineering role?
No, he had some good advice for different melodies and stuff like that, so I took that into account, and he was, he pushes you, but in a good way. Like, that'll kind of get you to a good product, so.
And then Matt, did you record your guitar at your house, or where did you record?
Yeah, I just literally did everything in my room. Just guitar straight into the interface, and just played around with a bunch of different plugins, because he wanted a DI track and then one that had like the sound you're happy with, and then he would kind of work with if the one that you created worked, then he'd stick with it. But if he found something that would fit the mix better, then he would probably just reamp it.
Oh, okay.
But, just kind of played around with some different plugins and Helix and stuff like that, and
Nice.
came up with a pretty good sound, I think.
Oh, cool. And how how stringent are you guys with mistakes? I mean, I know you're playing prog. That's a pretty
Zero mistakes.
precise kind of music. Is there ever an instance where you think it maybe humanizes the music to leave it something a note off the grid, or is this a case where you want everything very precise all the time?
No, I can count like 50 mistakes I've probably made in the whole thing, and as long as I don't tell anybody, it's probably good.
Mm-hmm.
But part of being human is just that, I think. There's a lot of mechanical music it sounds to me right now, and I don't want to fall victim to that, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is an industry standard nowadays to somewhat like have it polished and edited to the grid and whatnot. But like besides to like answer your question for like tracking and whatever, like what's acceptable, like I have a pass, like with prog and whatnot, like you don't want any sort of like mistakes. There's no sort of like improv. Like every sort of note sort of has a place. I mean, obviously, some things live might get interpreted differently, or depending on like the moment or whatever, you might throw something in to maybe be a little showy or something, or maybe be a little less showy for certain things, right? So things might change in a live perspective, but going like for an album, right, you want to kind of have it set to what's written. So in terms of mistakes, then I wouldn't really say there's no margin for error for mistakes, for sure. Like if you make a mistake, then you're gonna have to retrack it. But like Rob said with the grid, like there's some things that just they're a little off the grid. Like we're human, right? But after the fact, things obviously are going to get edited and produced to a polished product, and that is the industry standard right now. So unfortunately, that's the world we live in, and we need to kind of abide by those rules if we want to make a good product for you guys, right? So
yeah, absolutely. Was there like what are your future plans like once sort of the last venue standing can kind of reopen and shows can happen? Like do you guys have any like live performance plans at all?
Well, I think we'd like to play with you guys again. That makeup show that we should have. Well, this would be the second makeup show because the makeup show was also canceled.
I am really hoping the Doors survives. Like I actually like I want to get a group of people and go to Doors to like give them money. Like I really I'm worried about them.
I know, me too. They've done so much for like the Hamilton music community that like we need to kind of give back.
Well, there should be some kind of like fundraiser show for them, like at the venue, and then like the bands just kind of forego the pot or whatever, and then maybe can raise a little money for the guy, because that he's his name is completely escaping me right now, but
Tyler,
yeah, he's a stand-up guy, and he's thrown like countless just dope shows.
Yeah, at some point, well, I mean, we should go. Prospects and the Happy Fun Music Time host should.
I'm down.
Go over to Doors. I mean, because A, the tacos are good, and B, I do want to, I want to make sure they survive, because we've already, we've seen so many venues close already, right? Fox Lounge in Barrie, this in Hollywood, Rivoli, right, is closing now. I think I just heard.
Ooh. Yeah, they just sold too.
Ashra Music Hall is gone.
Ashra Music Hall is another one.
A big venue. Well, decently big.
Yep. So that's my biggest fear with all this is it's not the bands persevering. It's the will there be anything left, or to support them when it comes back. So.
Yep.
Well, like we need some more like visual content in Happy Fun Music Time. So like we could go with prospects, and then we could have like a taco eating contest. I think that would be
awesome. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Yeah, you're down? All right.
I don't even like tacos, but like I would do that.
What?
Oh my god.
Why don't you like tacos?
Oh no, this is going to be where it all goes down.
Yeah, I don't know, it's just the consistency, man. Soft tacos cool, it's just like the hard tacos, I don't know, it's just something about the consistency.
Oh, you don't like the hard shit.
So burritos
it just all falls apart like in my hand. It's not like the taste, it's just like it just like fall apart, and then it's like, what am I eating here? Like, am I eating salad or am
There's
I
a technique to it. There's a technique.
Yeah. Well, you know my point, right?
Yeah, no, it's definitely clumsy to eat, but it's like a Big Mac, like when you can hook your pinkies around the back to buttress it, so all the stuff doesn't slide out. There's there's a way to eat a hard shell taco.
True. I guess I just have still my primitive
Preserves the
form.
roof of your mouth, number one. Yeah, and then saves that lovely beef from spilling all over your white band T-shirts. Speaking of band T-shirts, you guys have merch, and
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
So who wants to talk about the merch? I mean, you have shirts, you have I don't know, tons of other stuff that's escaping me. Hoodies and stickers.
Bigger shirts.
You have shirts of all sizes. So even the obese can enjoy your merch, right?
Indeed.
So who designed it? Where'd you get it made? All those questions.
Well, we got this guy from Grizzly Victory Designs to design our logo. He's pretty decently priced, and he's worked with some big names. So we thought, why not work with him? And we thought we would just go with him as well to do the album art as well. So that is coming in the future. Some sick album art from him. But yeah, check out Grizzly Victory Designs. It's a pretty sweet site. He's got tons of awesome art. He did Machine Gun Kelly's recent merch line, so
no way.
wanted to check that out. Yeah, so again, he's worked with some bigger artists. I can't name them off the top of my head right now, but yeah, we just wanted to go with again somebody reputable and just get a decent logo and.
Yeah, respect. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask because I guess we haven't seen the album art for your new EP. Like, who, if there is album art, I'm assuming there is. Like, who did it, and like, what was the inspiration behind it?
So yeah, actually, like the same guy.
Oh, okay.
What I was explaining, he's creating the album art for us. So he'll be creating the cover art and everything for the CD. We're just gonna be doing a two-sided sleeve, so nothing too elaborate, no digipack yet, but we're going to be saving that for the full length.
Oh. Okay, and now here's a question. Why go with an EP and not singles? Because it seems to me that singles are like a thing nowadays. Speaking of industry standards, right? I mean, was there a reason you wanted to do a 4-song EP specifically?
Rob?
Not particularly, just having some kind of direction to focus on. I don't know. I grew up entirely in an album type era, so that's kind of what got me into it, anyways.
Yeah, no, for sure. But me too. And like, I'm somebody who listens to albums, like beginning to end. And so yeah, and I love albums. And I mean, there's a financial obstruction to recording a full album, obviously. So was the EP almost like a half measure of we're going to do a full length at some point, but here's like a preview of it.
Basically, yeah. Basically, we figured we needed something like as soon as possible to kind of like, we felt like to capture the magic in the bottle, so to speak, and or the lightning in the bottle, whatever. We just wanted to get it out, so it's like we took the 3 older songs and the 1 new song from the collection of newer stuff, like Rob said, and hopefully that is like a decent package enough for to get some hype and maybe some traction behind us before we drop like full length record, right? Because like you said, it's quite time consuming and pricey. Plus, this also gave us a little bit of like a background into knowing like what to expect for the next time around, right? So like when we do the full length album, we'll we've done like this process now for the EP, so it'll be like a lot easier next time around.
Yeah, you guys have learned from it.
Of course.
Yeah, we definitely learned quite a bit from going through the process this time. So kind of setting goals and trying to stick to them and just stay on track is definitely probably something to aim for the next one. Just kind of keep on keeping on.
That way we can capitalize on the next lockdown.
Yeah, exactly. And that's
was there?
Sorry, you go.
Sorry.
Alex.
Oh, I was going to say, well, was there any tension during recording? Because you guys were all recording separately, and that's a different, I would imagine, experience from recording all together. Was there like angry emails that you sent? Like, your guitar is off. Like,
I mean,
I'm sure, as you expect from a group of introverts that are like not in contact, right? Like, it's pretty difficult.
Yeah. I mean, I was basically survivor manning my recording process. Like recording drums, I had to get up every time and press spacebar.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just like, yeah, get up, press spacebar, sit down, do the take. If I screwed up, stop, get up, press spacebar, delete, take.
Oh, damn.
Press
Damn.
spacebar again, sit down. So it was pretty tedious, and you can actually see a blooper reel on my Instagram. I made a post. So there's a little blooper reel of me getting pretty frustrated.
Wait, back up here. So a couple of your songs, like they range sort of from like 7 to 9 minutes. So like, if you're playing one of them, do you like keep the stuff that like you did properly, or did you go for like one full like perfect run?
I tried actually both methods of recording. I tried the punching in method, and then because of how tedious it was getting up from this seat every time, I just did complete playthroughs of the songs.
Wow. Okay.
And used maybe some of the punch-in fills, but for the most part, it was like 7 to 8 full takes of all the songs, and then I just took like the best takes or like the best parts of each.
Oh yeah, for
of
sure.
each one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was worried you were doing like an 8.5-minute run of a 9-minute song, and then, oops, missed a snare,
like,
gone back to the start.
Do
Yeah.
it.
No. So yeah, if that happened, I would just be like, oh, I'm just gonna do another take and I'll nail it, and then like I'll just use like that half of the song or something. I would obviously like try to cut and paste it at like a part that makes sense, so it doesn't like ruin the integrity of the song. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Doesn't sound like a glitch, right? But that's like, you got to get creative. I mean, I didn't have anybody I didn't have a spacebar man. I need my spacebar man.
You can hire me to be your spacebar man. You can pay me like minimum wage. I'll be quiet. It'll be good.
Yeah, I just need somebody to press spacebar for me and just like console me when I'm yelling fuck and screaming over and over.
What is my purpose? You hit space bars.
Oh man. So what are some other like we already talked about bands. What about like other local? Are there any local bands you guys are into, inspired by, from Hamilton to Burlington, Oshawa, surrounding areas?
For me-
okay.
They're all horrible. But yeah.
No, for me, well, I like Rolodex Darko.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a great band.
Right.
Probably
Great.
like, well, one of my friends' bands, Lady in Black, they're more like heavy rock, kind of back from like the Ardent days. They're supposed to be coming out with some stuff this year too, but I don't know how their schedule is with all this, because I think it kind of killed their initial plans. But I've always dug them. Noise Floor, I don't know if you remember them too.
Oh yes.
Oh, they were cool. They had like a prog.
Yeah,
rock
they just
thing
released
going
something. I think it was late last year or early this year. They finally released their album they've been working on forever.
Oh, I have to check that out. Cool.
So
yeah.
it's definitely different too from what they've put out in the past, but it's awesome. So you should definitely check them out.
A lot of bands in the Oshawa have broken up, or like they're just not together or moved on to other projects. But there was a band, Fallen Legion. We actually played a show with them. They're pretty awesome prog metal kind of band, but they broke up, but they're reforming a new band with a new singer and new bass player and stuff. Great dudes, great musicians. Also from Oshawa. So maybe one day we'll play another show with them.
Yeah, hopefully the Atria stays open, right? That's the,
Yeah.
that's
At
the
least
one
the
I.
lower floor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have any doubts that they'll stay open. They'll manage to stay open somehow. They're pretty resilient. They manage to stay open through a lot of things. So
Good.
we've watched a lot of bars go down around them, and they've somehow stayed open. So I don't know what kind of bulletproof protection they have, but it's working for them, and it keeps us playing shows. So that's all that matters.
Well, they're a fairly
Good.
popular like bar on top of being a music venue. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm sure their
Yeah,
income's decent.
There's people there every day. Like, I mean, when COVID's not going on, right? There's
Yeah.
people there just, drinking, regular patrons, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, including some odd characters who tried to shove their way into a show that Krusty and I did with Kill 'Em
No.
Albatross, words like Wildfire, Girth, and Dawn Valley. And
No way.
Yeah, and we played at the Atria, and there was at least more than one instance of somebody trying to like walk right past the security guard and the entry fee and just kind of burst into the show. And
They
then
were
this
big
giant
boys,
security
too.
guard.
We're supposed to yell for Metallica covers.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
You know what? They made the show more fun because they just opened the pit up. I remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we started playing and they just left. It was great. Oh man. Anyway, yeah, the Atria is fun. Okay, Krusty, what's your next question here? I'm curious.
Oh, fair enough. My next question. We really just sort of flew down quite like a railroad of topics. I'm a little lost.
Yeah, we we were before flight, and now we're burning the bridge. We're all the way across.
Ooh, damn.
That was good, right? That was.
Is that a reference?
Yeah.
It's
We are looking to horizons. Actually, we're admitting an endless sky, and there's an outside reason coming soon.
That's Rob level pun.
I'll stop. I'm sorry.
That's some Rob level
the dad
punnage
jokes.
right there.
Please don't pull an Orphic trigger at my head for that one.
Oh no.
I don't know. So you guys, you work at the Long McQuade in.
We don't got to talk about them. That's okay.
No, yeah, no, I'm not gonna get into work talk. No one wants to talk about that, but I don't know. Like, what? I really like guitar pedals. Like, what are? I guess this is directed towards Rob and Matt. Like, what is your favorite guitar pedal? Mine is the Boss Chromatic tuning pedal. So I want to hear yours.
That's a pretty solid pedal, I gotta say.
It's really important.
I use a
Important,
Helix pedal.
guys.
It's a pedal with many pedals.
But does it have a tuner?
Sometimes.
Yeah, but not a good one.
So I think I prefer the Boss Chromatic tuner.
Yeah, these should be 100% in tune all the time.
Yeah.
I did buy Peterson's tuner 2 weeks ago. I still haven't used it because I'm scared.
Why are you scared?
No, once you hear that tuning, man, I don't know.
Oh, it just doesn't turn out that well. Like.
Yeah, suddenly the lights humming off, like it's gonna throw me off.
Oh, fair enough. So
What kind of drum gear do you use, Anthony? Like I know we talked about this at a show once, but I forget. Like, what's your, what kind of skins, what kind of drums, what kind of sticks, all that gear stuff.
So for like a long time, I've been playing this company called Thai Drums. They were like a kind of like a brother sister company of AOT. AOT used to be like a big Canadian brand from Quebec. And then they kind of don't really make drums anymore. They do, only with like special order. But besides that, I recently just got a new Tama kit, and I haven't done any really playing with it except for maybe like a little tester video and a couple things here and there. But it's just packed up in a box, just waiting to start making some content and jamming on it.
Nice.
Just currently with the COVID situation, it's just the playing situation is just really tough, especially for drums. I just wish I was a guitar player, man. It's so easy for you guys.
easier to practice, yeah.
I love it.
But yeah,
I
I play Evans drum skins, but I'm not particularly biased. Like, especially with cymbals, I play Zildjian and Sabian and Lionel, so like it doesn't really matter. I mean, unless an endorsement or something comes along, I'm just gonna do what I can afford, right? And what sounds good.
Yeah.
I also buy Pepsi.
I just realized I also stopped Matt from answering what his favorite guitar pedal was. So if you want to take that one now, Matt.
Well, actually, right now I'm really liking the Rev G4 pedal. It's a pretty nice high gain pedal for some good distortionness.
Oh, nice.
It's voice only. I can just picture you holding it up to the camera right now.
I actually have it right beside me here.
Put it under his pillow.
Running into the Rev D20 amp.
Can you hold it up to the microphone?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I can hear it. Yeah.
Embrace
Can we
the
hear
Rev.
Shit.
So you run that instead of like any amp distortion or like anything like that.
Well, I've just been kind of playing around with it. Live, have been for the most part just for ease of setup. Both Rob and I have been running Helix,
Yeah.
and then but
So
I'm
guaranteed way to confuse a sound engineer.
but otherwise, like I'm definitely out of the two of us. I'm more of the gearhead between I definitely like my pedals, and I can never really make up my mind with what I want to stick with. So for the
Fair
time
enough. You've
being,
helped me
it's
out in the
Helix.
past.
Yeah, and it's usually because it's a purchase that I want to make that I can't do. So it's like, well, somebody else can I can live vicariously through them.
Absolutely.
What about that new Cortex pedal?
Well, that hasn't come yet. That's not till
Cortex,
September.
does it like find the crystals before Crash Bandicoot does, or like what's the deal with that?
It better.
Yeah.
It's have you heard of Neural DSP?
That's distortion, right?
Well, they're more of a plug-in company.
Oh.
They make like the archetype plugins.
That's Nolly, right?
Yeah, they with the Nolly, Pliny, the Abasi. They just came out with the Cory Wong one from Wolfpack.
Yeah.
That's if you're in Snarky Puppy, same kind of thing. But they're the CEO of Neural used to be the CEO for Dark Glass Electronics, like the bass stuff.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So he's definitely he's well versed in hardware.
Yeah.
So this is like their first stab at kind of doing like the Helix, Kemper kind of deal. So it's a hardware unit, and it's supposed to be like a Helix and Kemper killer, Axe of X killer. So
Have you used it? Like, do you have it, or have you tried it?
no, it's I pre-ordered it back in January when they announced it at NAMM, but it's supposed to ship in September. Yeah, I've been waiting patiently for it.
Wow.
So it's supposed to show up sometime in September. So I'm looking forward to that, because then
Nice.
that could hopefully just be my entire rig, and
Yeah, it makes
be
life
done with
easier.
it for a little while until I change my mind again. But yeah,
Wow.
that's kind of what we do for at least amp wise, for lack of an amp, I guess.
And
Nice.
do you guys use live? Are you using like in-ear monitors or metronomes, any of that kind of stuff?
We got a click track, and pretty well. Rob and I and Anthony are using in-ears. Matt, our bass player, which we haven't really talked about.
It's bass.
He,
Who cares?
No, we
Bass
love
player,
him.
man.
He just kind of runs off the live monitor on the floor.
Cool.
Wow. So
Yeah,
you
you
guys
just
kind of shaft him. Like, why doesn't he have in-ear monitors?
He just follows me.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Like any good bassist should, following the drummer.
Absolutely.
What about like what's a dream show for you guys? Is there like one band that I mean, obviously you have Between the Buried and Me, the guy mixed your album. So if that's the answer, that's cool. But is there one band who you think you should open for example?
Well, definitely at least BT Bam, I think, would be probably the obvious choice. But it's a good question. What do you
Is
guys
this like
think?
is this like an ideal or like dream? Like is this like if it would sell tickets, or like I could pick anybody I want? You know?
What would
Whatever
make
way you
the
wanna
happiest?
approach it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you can do a band you like, or you can do you want to open for Coldplay. You know, you can pick
Do they
whatever.
still have to be live?
Yeah.
Shit.
What were you gonna say, Frank Sinatra?
No, I was
be
gonna
dope.
say I was probably gonna say Rush, man.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Bungle.
But
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
I don't know, man. Like probably like just because they would just probably up in like a childhood like preteen, like dream of mine, like Dream Theater, man.
Yeah. I could
For
totally
me, anyways.
Yeah, you would totally fit with Dream Theater.
Yeah, I mean, possibly.
No, not possibly at all. You guys would totally fit with Dream Theater. You guys, you have the same kind of prog.
It's
prog
inescapable.
wizardry.
It's really inescapable.
Yeah. If I saw that bill, I wouldn't be shocked. Like,
Appreciate that.
I like you guys more than Dream Theater. I'm gonna say it. I think you're
gosh.
better than. I like you more than Dream Theater.
Shit.
Like I do. I personally am not that into Dream Theater, and I think you guys are much. I think you guys are cooler. I think your songs are better. I think you.
That hurts my soul.
I'm just waiting
Well,
to
hey.
get friggin' doxed by Chromatic right
Yeah,
now.
that's right. This
I'm
opinion
sorry,
is-
God. I'm sorry, God.
Someone on
opinion-
Toronto Prague is going to hear this, and we're going to
Forgive me. I have sinned. Forgive me. I have sinned.
I will accept all the hate mail that I get from Toronto Prague.
Say that to me in my Sterling and see what happens.
I don't know. I have to go with Salas
Hey,
on this.
come on.
I
See, he
do.
agreed.
I do prefer Prospects. You know, I like the early Dream Theater stuff, but like I listened to the Astonishing front to back, and that was kind of painful, man. Like,
I don't know, man. I know it's not for everybody, you know.
fair.
I get it. It's just they've always been a huge band for me, like huge influence, and I know it wasn't like the greatest, but if you just
Yeah, who's had a career that long?
if you take it for what it is, like I know if you hadn't like listened to Dream Theater ever before and you just like heard that, like I'd listen to it. It's like a metal opera, you know what I mean?
Fair enough.
With like a pretty sick story. Like I went to see it live. I got to see it live, and they had like the screen up with like all the animations and the graphics of the story going on with all the characters and like the maps and shit. And like
damn.
I'm really into maps, man. Like I said, I love adventure and
Mhm.
like all that stuff, right? Like fantasy. It was kind of like, you know, they've ripped off like other themes like before, like Rush has done stuff like this, right? It's like a kind of dystopian universe where like music doesn't exist anymore, and all those like crazy like machine sounds you hear on the record are actually like,
Well,
you know,
that's
like they're-
that's like I don't know the story, but like I know like the gift of music, so that's like kind of about that, like how music doesn't exist anymore, right?
yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's kind of like yeah, that's about like one of the characters in the story, like Gabriel, because he's like the savior kind of like of the story. He has like the only like gift of music, like the only one that like knows music basically. Like he can like sing and like play songs and write melodies and stuff, and like
Yeah.
no everybody thinks it's magic because it's like they've never heard it, you know.
Well, yeah. So he's like the cartoon Recess. He's like the kid who just sings everything.
Yeah, I grew up on that, man.
Shit.
No, that's cool. Though. I mean, you know, I did like Images and Words. I'll
Yeah,
say.
I like some Dream Theater. I
Yeah,
don't like
I like
that
some
one.
of it.
Yeah.
Hey man, I get it. Like, I mean, a lot of people I've talked to, it's like I like Dream Theater, but I hate Labrie. Like Dream Theater, but I hate Labrie. You know, so yeah, it's all right. It is what it is. I could take it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's like saying I hate Reese's, but I love peanut butter or something. Like, you know, like James LaBrie is an integral part of that sound. You kind of gotta take
Yeah.
it or leave it.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, fucking that's my dream band.
Theater.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Dream.
Yeah. Thanks, Rob.
Dreaming.
But yeah, what about you, Rob?
What was the question? Sorry.
You said Mr. Bungle earlier,
Mr.
and
Bungle.
I found that was so like. What's your favorite Bungle album?
Oh, what's that one? Oh, I can't remember the names of these things. To Google. No, I just said that because that's a. I honestly, I don't know what band I want to play with live. There's many that I can't think of. Yeah.
Opeth?
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool.
Opeth.
But like older Lopez. Lopez.
I've seen Opeth twice, and they were Catatonia opened for them both times.
That's cool.
And they were great. Especially their. Do you like the newer Opeth stuff? Like the
Well,
new direction?
like My Arms, Your Hearts, and Still Life are the ones that I take the most off of. Like those are albums I used to, like I still think about to this day when I do stuff. Moving on, like Blackwater Park was awesome. I like all the other records, but
That's my
it was,
favorite.
usually with the band, there's like the one or two albums that that's what I got glued to.
Yeah. I love their first two. I think that Orchid and Morning Rise
Morning
are
Rise,
like underrated albums. They're really there's almost like a black metal aesthetic to me on those ones.
Yeah, I liked Morning Rise a lot.
Oh yeah, Black Rose Immortal is a crazy song. 20
Yeah,
minutes-
Ackerfeld's kind of a guy, you see him and you don't really have an excuse not to be able to kind of do what he does, if he can do it. Just-
what do you mean by
Wait,
that?
what? Like,
You know what I
if
mean? Like
anyone
like
can
I
make
put off
Opeth
guitar
albums? Like,
No. I put off guitar and vocals for so long. We look at Ackerfeld, and you're like shit. If this guy can do it, like I don't know, it's got to be achievable somehow.
I guess he is. He has a fairly like it seems pretty laissez-faire attitude, maybe to like at least his stage persona and in interviews, he's a laid back guy. It seems to me. Yeah, okay, I can see what you're saying.
So like,
That's
when
good, 'cause
when
half
are you
the time
guys
I
gonna
don't know
make
what I'm
Still
saying.
Life 2 though? That's like, if it's possible, like, you guys should be able to do it.
Still Life 2.
That'd be wild, imagine that.
Can I just throw out some band names and you, whoever wants to, just like give me quick thoughts on them? I'm curious. Like I always like knowing other bands, thoughts on bands that I see some commonality with. I mean, like Porcupine Tree. What do you guys think of that band? You guys remind me of them a little bit.
To be honest, I don't think I've ever heard Porcupine Tree.
You've never heard?
Oh wow.
You're missing out.
Yeah,
Okay.
no.
Okay,
Fear of a Blank Planet. You gotta go hear that album.
I got one. Some of your stuff reminds me
Gavin
of
Harrison.
Human Abstract. Is that
Oh,
band
yeah.
you guys like? Like their
I
early
love
stuff?
that band.
Yeah.
I had a phase with them.
I hear a bit of like the kind of neoclassical kind of vibes, like off like Digital
Oh.
Veil and like their first album. Like I'm not going to talk about Midheaven, but
That's probably attributed to the fact that way before American metal, what got me into music originally was like the European kind of melodic stuff,
oh, all right,
Bodum and all those guys.
Yeah.
kind of like neoclassical, like melodic metal kind of stuff.
Yeah, it wasn't until like early 20s that the shred kind of got a bit overbearing, and that's why I discovered mostly BTBM and all those guys.
Yeah.
That's the writing was just so much more interesting to me.
Have you ever heard like read like Alexi Leho's like interviews or anything? He's like that guy really feels himself.
Oh yeah.
Alexi's where the dream, like the idolization died for me when we went to see him in Toronto. There I am, 16 years old, like at the bus, like, oh my god, he's about to get off. And here walks this pale dude with the shades on, obviously hungover, just like, where the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And like, damn.
Yeah.
He posted like, an update where he wrote about himself in the third person and like about how the new album is gonna smash like everything, but you can tell he wrote it and he like writes about how great he is in the press release and stuff. I don't know. It was funny. He kind of falls in that like kind of Yngwie category of like virtuosos, you know?
Yeah. He did that at a very young age, so props to him.
Yeah.
What about are you guys into like the guitar shredders like Paul Gilbert or like Michelangelo Badio or Jeff Loomis?
I used to watch some of those videos like back in the day for like more like novelty purposes, like the Michelangelo with like the four neck guitar.
Dope, yeah.
I know the 2-neck guitar is popular, but like the 4-neck guitar one was just like out of this world. It's just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But yeah, like Malmsteen, very novelty. Like, it's good. Like they're amazing. It's just you can almost get a kick out of it a little bit.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But like for me, I'm not a guitar player, so I can't really speak in terms of being a guitar player. But
No.
yeah.
I can't say I've been listening to much shred these days, to be honest.
No.
Like, I don't know.
I do really like Pliny.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, plenty sick.
I guess if you're talking, more modern, but like more old school classic, I was kind of into Via a little bit, but otherwise I never really got into anyone. So actually at the time I wasn't really even into that kind of music. It was more like rock influenced solely, and then went to school and did jazz, and it wasn't until like the last maybe 5 years I've really gotten into the more progressive stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, you were in like kind of more like sort of hard rock, like kind of grungy bands, like sort of like when you were in No King for Countrymen, right?
Nope.
Or no, I'm mixing that up. The other band. That's my bad. Between
Dead Men
Faith,
Tell No
right?
Tales.
And Dead Men Tell No Tales.
Yeah, those were the first
Yeah.
two iterations of that band. Yeah.
I don't because No King for Countrymen was always on those bills, so I mixed that up, and you changed.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry
why.
about that. Yeah, but that was sort of more like kind of Tool, Alice in Chains kind of influenced, like at least the vibe I
Definitely,
got. Yeah.
A little bit of Foo Fighter,
Yeah.
kind of mix of everything. Because that band was like, well, every one of those members had the influence on the writing, so I kind of shone through that. Where right now, at least with us, it's pretty well all Rob, which is cool, and then down the road we'll all kind of throw our own bits into it, and it'll change up. But
Do you guys think about like band image at all, or is that because I find this interesting. Like some bands are like, oh, man, I don't care what we wear, I don't care, I don't care about performing, or it's all about the music, or is this a thing where you guys are consciously some
well,
kind of sorry,
to a degree, I guess, but we haven't really executed anything yet. It's been more just like, at least between me and Anthony, kind of talking about, we should do that, or shouldn't we, or it's been more just a discussion more than an execution so far.
Not so much with like what we wear, but more or less like the show, like like a light show, or like just incorporate something more like to just add to the show, right? Whether it would be lights, or obviously can't use pyro inside, but you guys have like kind of like a melodrama going on, like at the same time as like your music, so it's like that's like something you guys bring to the table that's like unique, you know what I mean? So it's like we're trying to like kind of figure something that we could bring to the table that's unique and like cool, like whether that be like a light thing or something, but like something that's realistic, because we're still just like playing in small venues to small crowds, so we want to make sure it's realistic to the expectations of that, right? But in terms of like clothes, I mean, I think like our image is like the lack of image. If that makes sense.
Right, and that's a common, and that's totally fine. Like, and I think that, especially because you guys are such good musicians, like you don't want to distract from the technical prowess. It's almost like it works to have that lack of an image, I think, for you guys.
Yeah, and it's just funny to talk about that now. Like, I mean, if you go back like 12 years ago, like I remember, being in like a band back then and like trying to do this, and you'd play like, Battle of the Bands, or you're playing in front of like, a couple record labels or something, and they give you like reviews on your stuff or whatever. And I remember they would always say like, oh, like, the music's awesome, and you guys brought a lot of people, but like you got no image, like one guy's wearing a Bob Marley shirt, like you're shirtless and like shorts, and like the other guy's wearing an American Eagle shirt with surfer shorts. It's like, you guys don't have an image at all. It's like, and then a couple years later, that's the style, right? But like it's just funny talking like now. It's like that's kind of the norm, is like nobody really gives a shit anymore.
I can't remember like what anyone wore like yesterday. Like I don't pay attention to anyone's clothing. Like,
especially in our scene. Like a lot of people they get over that, like whether we still fall victim to it or not. We kind of like get over that like consumerist mentality. I mean, some of us are still in it, but like like some of us try to be against it, or if we can, or like at least we're aware of it. But it's like, I don't think anybody really cares at the end of the day what people are wearing, and if they do, like, fucking jackass.
And you know what? Like you guys, I don't know. You said you were tossed around the idea of like having some lights or like some sort of like presentation enhancer. Like at least for me, I think that's something I would remember more than like the fucking shirt you were wearing. Like I don't care about that, like.
Yeah, 100%. Like I've of course always imagined like in my head like a typical. At a show, you see them wearing like a band shirt, so you're wearing like another band's shirt, and that's just like you're kind of like promoting another band, or just wearing another band that you're into shirt, and that's like a typical like your uniform, if you will. Like so many bands can get away with that image. So
you could be like Trivium and wear your own merch at your show.
Shit, I don't know if I would do that. I don't know. I put on one of our shirts and I was like, I can't. And then I took it off.
Yeah,
because they're so comfy and you should buy them.
Yeah, it's like what a ringing endorsement. Oh man.
We'll make sure to get a merch plug in the description, so that we'll have our like 10 subscribers wearing Prospect shirts ASAP.
Oh yeah.
Hey man, we're actually pretty much sold out of hoodies, so if they want merch, then if they want a hoodie, they should get on it now. But tees, we got plenty of tees. and stickers.
Okay,
Nice.
fair enough. That I will
Come
be
on.
sure to check that out, and I implore all of our dedicated listeners to check that out and to buy merch and to listen to music. We're hitting about the hour mark, which is usually where we wrap these up.
Okay.
Was there anything you guys wanted to plug or any plans for the future? Anything we missed?
Rob,
August
Matt?
7th, where we'll be releasing Orphic Trigger.
Yep.
That'll be the release date for that single, so
Sorry, what day?
there'll be lots of August 7th.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And there'll be lots of content to follow that, so keep an eye out on all of our socials.
Nice. Perfect.
August 7th, cool.
Some cool video ideas and some playthroughs and some nerdy stuff like that.
Oh, playthroughs, nice.
Yeah.
Any music videos?
Yeah, got a couple like plans. Anyways, nothing in stone, but we got a few plans and just getting ideas and things down. But we definitely have a few coming out.
Oh.
Just not a to be determined, like, or it's basically to be determined. Like we don't have a date or anything
Yeah,
yet.
things are crazy right now too, but
Exactly.
yeah. But I'm excited to hear the Orphic Trigger, like the remake, and I'm excited to hear the new EP and all the new stuff. And yeah, like thank you guys for coming on, and it was nice chatting with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For having us.
Thank you.
Thanks for having
That's,
us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no
Thank
worries.
you. We will be eating tacos soon.
Yeah, we're doing